Alright, this is still Test 2 Review, Math 060. These are questions 13 through 16. And write true or false for the statement. So for each statement, let's turn it into words, and then we'll solve it. They're asking, is the opposite of, and that's that first negative sign there, is the opposite of, and then we're going to interpret this piece, the absolute value of negative 56 less than 0. That's what the question is asking you. Let's make that a 0. Is the opposite of the absolute value of negative 56 less than 0. Okay, and we'll solve this like we would do an order of operations problem. So let's look at order of operations, really, which is go solve inside the parentheses, the absolute value signs, which is a lot like parentheses in this situation, but solve the absolute value sign. So the absolute value of negative 56 is 56. Okay, so now you've eliminated the absolute value signs. Just this opposite is still there, and this part of your problem is still hanging in the balance. So the opposite of 56, or negative 56 less than 0. Is that a true statement? Is negative 56 less than 0? Well, negative numbers are less than 0. So yes, that is a true statement. So alright. So for this one, we'll type it out into a question. It's asking, is the absolute value of negative 49 greater than the opposite of the absolute value of negative 19? So is the absolute value of negative 49 greater than, now let's do this, so greater than the opposite of the absolute value of negative 19. That's the question. Is the absolute value of negative 49 greater than the opposite of the absolute value of negative 19? So let's solve it as if it were order of operations. Let's go to our... So the absolute value of negative 49 is 49, so we have eliminated those absolute value signs. And we still have the greater than. We still have the opposite. Let's solve inside of the absolute value signs. Absolute value of negative 19 is 19. So now the absolute value signs are gone. Now, do we have a true statement? 49 is greater than the opposite of 19, or is 49 greater than negative 19? Negative numbers are less than 0, and 49 is certainly greater than 0 and negative 19, so the answer there again is true. Okay, let's look at the next one. Break it apart. We have the opposite of 10 is greater than 0. So is the opposite of 10 greater than 0? Let's type it out. Is the opposite of 10 greater than 0? And let's solve it like it's order of operations. And so the opposite of the number 10 is negative 10. Is negative 10 greater than 0? Well, negative numbers are less than 0, so negative 10 cannot be greater than 0. So then our answer there is false. Alright, for this one, once again we're going to break down what is it asking you. So this is a long sentence. Is the opposite of the absolute value of 12 greater than the opposite of the absolute value of negative 10? So let's type it out. Is the opposite of the absolute value of negative 12 greater than the opposite of the absolute value of negative 10? Question mark. My son is playing computer games in the background. He yells at the computer. Alright, that's downstairs too. So we're going to solve this like it's order of operations. So we solve inside the absolute value signs. We still have opposite. Inside of the absolute values is negative 12, so the absolute value of negative 12 is 12. And we keep our greater than sign, and we keep our opposite sign. We solve inside the absolute value signs, so the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. Now we've gotten rid of absolute value signs, and we can. It's a more it's a broken down sentence. It's easier to read. So negative 12 greater than negative 10. So is negative 12 greater than negative 10? Is that a true statement or a false statement? Remember that the further away from 0 the number is to the left, the less it is. So negative 12 is not greater than negative 10, but less than negative 10. So that would be false for that one.